Hi, everybody. Welcome to Half the National Average. And this is Michelle coming to you with Habit Hack number 107, September 7th. 107, September 7th. Crazy sky over here in LA, right? From the fires. Speaking of fires, today's habit hack has everything to do with black swans. I know. I've been thinking about this for a long time. And I've been putting off talking about black swans forever because it could be a little obscure. So I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible. So hang with me here. Hang with me. So Nassim Nicholas Taleb, he is the one that kind of really created the theory around what a black swan is compared to events. So black swan it's a metaphor for when the Europeans thought that all swans were white. And they couldn't possibly think that there was anything except a white swan because that's all they'd ever seen. And then lo and behold, when they go to Australia and they saw their first black swan, it was like, it's not a swan. What is that? And it was just a black swan. And so the interesting thing about black swans, and he kind of talks about this in his book, but it's a rare event that can't really be predicted beforehand because all of your experience isn't even close to coming to the fact that this thing could happen or exist. Or in Taleb's black swan, it's huge national events that really create major change. But what I want to talk about is how black swan events or black swan reasonings or thinkings, things that are outside of your prediction or ability to predict, because there's just no way to predict it. There's nothing in your history or your knowledge that would predict that something like this could happen. The interesting thing about what he talks about black swans is that after the event happens, we change our narrative. And I've talked about that a lot here in Half the National Average, in Habit Hacks. We change our narrative, which is why we have to write something down. So black swan events, they're not significant because they change history because of the event. They change history because of our perception of the event. So let's just take a big one, right? For Americans, which that's all of you out there right now. Maybe one day there's somebody else. But today, America, 9/11, that was a black swan event-ish for most people. Now, for some people, it wasn't. It was totally within their realm of understanding or thought or worries or concern. And they could possibly maybe not predict that specific event, but they could predict something like that. Now, the perception of it changed history, not the actual one event. And so that's really an important aspect when you're thinking about not everybody's habit hack is going to be that intense, right? If somebody's just trying to lose weight or eat better, which that's a pretty common one that people, immediately, that's because we're so out of shape, overweight, and don't exercise. So that's the first thing that comes in our mind when we want to change a habit. Like, I want to eat better and I want to lose weight and I want to get in shape. But a black swan event for you, or maybe we should just call it like a gray swan event, is you have a slight heart attack. Like, everybody knows that heart attacks kill hundreds of thousands of people. But when you get the heart attack, that is a black swan event. You never thought that was going to happen. And so that event, the perception of that event to you is going to change everything that you do, hopefully, afterward. And so when we're talking about Habit Hack 107, I really wanted to talk about these black swan events that happen in your life, because you need to think about all of the things that actually happen that you couldn't predict, which is why I did my prediction last month, because it's been on my mind. All of these things that you couldn't predict, you need to start thinking beyond what you think is possible, especially if you're doing a habit like changing your universe, or conceptualizing your universe in a different way, or changing something that, even for something like music, I think about musicians that completely revolutionized the music industry because they kind of were black swans. They thought beyond what was possible and then just did it. And so for a habit, you can think beyond what is possible and practice something 15 minutes at a time with really no recourse or poor recourse. Is that proper term? I don't know. I'm just talking crazy. And it's exciting to do, kind of like what I did with my prediction rate. I had no idea. Now I started again too. I didn't do it for a week, and now I'm already predicting again because I'm like, I can't just be 40. I probably am 43%. I'll probably get 30% accuracy next time. But a little bit more about this black swan, because I'm setting up for tomorrow's other habit hack that I was practicing all last month, and I want to share it with you because I'm ready to scientifically give you my research data. But this is an example. I know Patty loves my pictures. This is an example of why sometimes black swan events are so hard to predict, is because this is the black swan event, but this is the cycle of time. So in time, the swan event, black swan, is not something special, but this is your lifespan. And then this is your children's lifespan, and their children, and their children, and their children, and their children. So we come all the way around. By the time the event happens, we have no idea that it's actually not a black swan event. It's just an occurrence. Now, some people say global warming is like this kind of thing. I don't know. 114 degrees this weekend. But there are historical things that if you go back far enough, you're going to see that the cadence of it's happening just in principle will repeat. And so is that too confusing? But it's critical. It's critical. I really struggled with myself giving you guys black swan as a habit hack 107. Just let me know. I mean, I just like, what are you talking about, Michelle? I don't understand. So I'll give you the Wikipedia, black swan. So black swans are hard to predict. They're rare events beyond normal expectation based on history. So you don't expect them based on the history of what you know and see. They are non-computable probability. They're non-computably, they have non-computable probability using scientific methods. So you can't really scientifically predict them. And lastly, the psychological basis will blind people, individuals and collective people or collective groups, to uncertainty to the rare events. And they play a massive role in human history. So they play a massive role in human history, like 9/11, not because of the actual one event that, I mean, so many bigger events had actually happened, but because of the perception of that one event. And that's really key, because I've talked a ton about your perception is everything. If you're trying to create a habit, it's everything. What is in between these two ears and happening in this brain is going to make your habit successful or not. And that's why I work so hard on really thinking about the psychological effects of your habit, and also thinking about what are the obstacles or the psychological obstacles of keeping to a habit, because it's really difficult, especially when we get bored, or especially when there is like a black swan event like COVID-19 and it completely disrupts your habits. So you have to do them completely different, and your perception can be like, this is so crazy, I can't be doing these mundane little practices, when really that's the most important time to do it. Okay, so I don't know, black swan 107, that's what we got today. So what am I giving away today? I don't know if you noticed, not this watch. This is my watch, my everyday watch. I can't give away that, but this watch is, I love it. My very, very good friend Claire gave it to me. And again, I've been giving away a lot of gifts, and it was hard. But, you know, Marie Kondo said people would not want your gift to burden you. And so I've enjoyed it, and now I want somebody else to enjoy it. It does probably need a battery. But this is yours. It's a clasper too. I love it. If you join this project, practice 15 minutes a day, something that is going to change your life for 1 year, and just DM me, I'll get it to you. All right, you guys. Oh, and you need to document it by sharing with at least one person, All right, I gotta go to the store and get bacon, because I am making scallop bacon. All right, gotta go.